Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening to begin with an exploration, really, of the pre and post symposium teaching tour, the workshop tour, and really to talk about the exhibitions and also Tamara's project. I'd just like to say on behalf of MAANZ that in the spirit of reconciliation, MAANZ acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. I'd like to hand over now to Marion Shapiro, MAANZ Acting President. Thanks, Marion.
Hi everybody. Sorry about the cat. Let's get rid of her. Okay, I'm Marion Shapiro. I'm MAANZ Acting President, and I'd like to say good evening and welcome to everybody. I'm really excited that tonight we will be launching the two MAANZ exhibitions, which will be held in Geelong concurrently with the symposium, plus an exciting community mosaic project and our pre and post symposium workshop tour. Now, although the symposium is currently fully booked, these events offer both members and non-members exciting additional opportunities for creative engagement. So tonight's event falls into sections, and you can ask questions in the chat, and we'll address that at the end of each section. Firstly, the exhibitions. Helen, Bodycomb, the symposium organizer, is going to discuss ways to approach the theme, which is time and materiality, which is the focus of our international exhibition. Barb, Uhlenbruch, National Exhibitions Officer, will then join us to talk both about the international and the 3030 exhibitions. And after that, we will be joined by guest presenter Tamara Froud from the UK to share details of the exciting Common Unity project. She will be joined by Kristin Wohlers, our National Community Officer. Then we're going to hear from Education Officer Caitlin Hepworth, who will reveal the inaugural MAANZ workshop tour by our international symposium presenters. This tour takes place both before and after the symposium and opens up additional workshop opportunities to MAANZ members. Entry forms for both exhibitions, tickets for the Common Unity project and workshop bookings open this evening. David Lacey, our membership secretary, will round off this launch by giving you a tour of where to find the various options. So that's all for me from the moment. I will now hand back to Helen Bodycomb, the symposium coordinator.
Thanks very much, Marion. Time and materiality, as you know, is the theme for this year's symposium. And the subtitle we have for that really is Exploring Change and Material Range. So if we consider time as a measure of change and materiality as referring to what we might consider material range, then we've got a bit of a start on things. A good place to start is the question, why have a theme at all? And the answer to that really, I think, lies in a few places. One of them is for group focus. It's in order to help us unify our thinking. And for the plenary sessions and the international exhibition, it's also a way to link otherwise disparate works. So a theme also challenges us to go somewhere that may be possibly unfamiliar to us. I think one way of considering a theme is it's like an alternative form of travel. Go somewhere you haven't been before. So a theme is in this respect also a kind of provocation, not to be mean, but in fact to serve as a kind of trigger into thinking and making in a way that is different to our usual pattern. So themes can help us grow our practice. So why do we make mosaics? Well, artists are storytellers and mosaicists are as well. So whether we work figuratively, we make pictures of things that other people will recognise, or we're abstract or non-figurative, we make textures and patterns. At the end of the day, we all have something to say. Who are we making for? Well, who is our audience? Is our audience people we know or strangers? And maybe our mosaics will be seen by people we will never know, because we are working in an art form that is durable. So to some degree, we're making mosaics for people into the future who we may never know. What role do the materials play in the works that we make? Sometimes the materials that we use hold special meaning for the work. They're not just colours and textures. So I've put together a few slides which are going to help demonstrate some of these ideas about thinking and making a little bit differently. And the first of them is an artist from Chicago called Jim Bakor. And many of you will be familiar with his work. Jim is an artist, a graphic designer by training who did some work in Pompeii some years ago, and ever since has been a big fan of a sort of neoclassical approach. He's been called by the New York Post as the pothole Picasso. He's best known for his mosaics in potholes, and this particular work, depiction of a dead rat, not everybody's preferred subject matter, but it was part of a series called Vermin of New York, which Jim did about 3 or 4 years ago. So he's a cockroach. Again, he's using the genre really of the unswept floor. Many of you will be familiar with this. A saraton is the Latin name. It, it's a Hellenic genre which depicts an item with a shadow. It's a form of trompe l'oeil, and it's a kind of, it's a very tongue-in-cheek, humorous work that both echoes something that happened a long time ago, but is very much talking about the present. So we see a dead pigeon on the left with a very defined unswept floor style shadow, and of course we see a portrait of Donald Trump on the right. So Donald Trump was president of the United States at the time that Jim went to New York and made this piece, and the portrait of Donald Trump was unsurprisingly left intact in the ground for a rather short period of time before staff belonging to the borough of New York came under very strict presidential orders to chop it up and remove it. But the documentation of the work, it survives. So when we think about time and materiality, both in terms of what Bakor chooses to represent, how and where and for whom, all of these things are absolutely, I think, resonant with the ideas of time and materiality. And I'll just add that when Jim makes a mosaic of an ice cream or a snack food, he's rather fond of these sort of pop food items. He will often include a part of that material in the adhesive that he bonds the material together with. So that idea of the material having a sense of DNA is something that he carries through into these works. The next artist is a Ghanaian artist. So he's from Ghana. He also works in Nigeria. And his name is El Anatsui. So El Anatsui is probably best known for his very large-scale metal tapestries that he builds from copper alcohol caps and copper wire, bottle caps and copper wire. Now, El Anatsui started working with these materials because they were very commonplace in the street of Ghana and of Nigeria, where he moves between 2 studios. And he decided to use them to create these very large tapestry, mosaic-like sort of fabrics, in a sense, in order to speak about the role in which alcohol has played in the colonization of those countries. So he's actually making a political statement. For some of you joining us tonight, you might look at this and think that's not a mosaic. I would suggest it's mosaic through the way the thinking behind it has worked. People's definitions of what mosaic is and isn't differ. My own definition is not one which is limited to bricks and mortar, the glass, the ceramic, the stone. Accumulation of materials and the stitching together of them to create a larger whole, I think, is a form of thinking, at least in mosaic. We'll have a look at another couple of pictures of El Anatsui's work just to get a sense of the scale. So these works are generally made to be installed on a wall, and part of El Anatsui's collaborative practice is not only that he employs a large number of workers to individually hammer each of these bottle tops and to individually stitch them together, thereby imparting a kind of what he calls a charge to the material. So they already come with a kind of energy-laden feeling about them. But in fact, the people who install these works for Ellen at Sui are not instructed by him on how they're to be installed. And so that becomes another part of their legacy. They're very large works, and generally these are to go indoors, but I have seen some very large works of his either on the outside of a building, like an architectural mosaic skin, or even thrown over huge shrubs in a park. So there are many ways in which this type of mosaic thinking about time and about materiality can be explored. We might go now to someone whose work may be much more familiar to some of you. Helen Miles is a mosaicist from Edinburgh. She's also the author of a book that was published last year called Make Your Own Mosaics, Ancient Techniques to Contemporary Art. And I included these works because they bring it back to the domestic area. They still carry on that unswept floor genre. And Helen has contemporized the idea by giving a discarded shoe on the right and an electrical cord. And you can see the other items. Someone's commissioned her to make a splashback. Again, both works are exploring these ideas of time and materiality. The folk art tradition also has a very strong history of this. We're looking at the moment at a piece of memory ware or picassiette. This particular vase is a French work, which is a hand-coiled vase embellished with shards of pottery. Now, in central Victoria, where my main studio is, the bush is literally a kind of carpet, really, of blue and white ware, like the shards of ceramic that we're looking at now. And again, they seem to have a kind of charge to them. You can get a sense that someone has handled them. They've been broken, they've been discarded. There's a story in them. And many of you will have precious pieces of ceramic that have maybe made their way down through the family over the years, been broken, but you just don't feel like you want to throw them out. And so this more modern genre of picassiette, of course, originated in France, in northern France, after the works of Raymond Isidore in the 1930s, when he began covering his whole house and everything in it with crushed and broken ceramic shards like this. Just to finish, though, with Nek Chand. So Nek Chand was an Indian self-trained artist who had a vision of the divine kingdom of Sukrani and began secretly building a garden on public land. He started in 1957 and building this garden illegally, actually, out of junk. And when I say junk, he was using bottles and glasses and bangles and tiles, sinks, electrical waste, broken pipes, and he started building a kind of community of people and various buildings around it. It eventually grew into a 12-acre or like 5-hectare complex of interlinked courtyards and things. Eventually it became, actually now it's 16 hectares and it's visited by over 5,000 people daily, and it's had more than 100 million visitors since it was built. So this is the last slide I have in this exploration of time and materiality. Also comes from Nek Chand's garden in Chandigarh. Really a way of just showing that there are so many ways to make a mosaic. There are so many ways to explore materiality and really to grow your thinking through this theme of time and materiality, to expand your practice through it and to reconsider why we're making mosaics, who we're making them for, and to explore the role that materials play in the works that we make. So I think that's it from me, and we might now hear from Barb Uhlenbruch, who's going to talk with us about the exhibitions. Welcome, Barb.
Thanks, Helen. Hi, everyone. It's great to see so many people here tonight, and I'm very excited to talk to you about our exhibitions. There's no need to take notes. There are information sheets on the MAANZ website that are very, very detailed and hopefully will answer any questions that you have. We've tried to make them easy to read and follow, so be sure to have a look at those. So first of all, I'm just going to chat about the international exhibition. and draw your attention to some significant differences to the exhibitions this year. The first is that the international exhibition is being held at the National Wool Museum in Geelong, and this is a prominent public gallery, and you can see from the dates it runs for a massive 10-week period. So this is really a very, very significant exposure opportunity for contemporary mosaic art. So be sure to be involved is all I can say. Being a public gallery, the sales of work are not possible, so that's important to know. We will ask when you enter for an estimated value of your work for gallery insurance purposes. It does open entries up then to pieces that people might have been reluctant because they didn't want to sell in the past, so it will broaden that opportunity for entering works. Also differently this year, it's the international, that is the themed exhibition, not the 30-30. So it's the reverse of what we've done in previous years. So entries for the international are open to MAANZ members only. The 30-30 is open to both members and non-members. The international is a juried exhibition, so not all submissions will be exhibited. You can submit up to 2 works, and because we've got a large gallery space this year, which is really exciting, we can accept a much broader range than we might have been able to in the past of entry types, including flat and relief hangings, sculptures, kinetic and ceiling hanging works, and temporary installations with multiple elements. So you can really explore this theme in a lot of ways. The sizes are all on the entry sheet, but because people have asked already, I'll just broadly, for wall hangings, 120 centimetres in maximum height and width, 25 kilos in weight. For sculptures, 150 centimetres, and for multiple part works, 180 centimetres. And for ceiling suspended works, maximum weight of 15 kilos. But like I said, it's all on the entry form. We've got some generous sponsorship this year, allowing for significant awards. So Trade Warehouse is sponsoring both Best in Show and the New Horizons Award. There'll be 3 judges' choice awards, 1 award per judge, and a peer award. So because the entries are juried for selection, your images really matter. So the images and a video, if you choose to make one, and your artist statements are submitted to the jurors, who then will make a selection. So taking a really good quality photo is exceptionally important for this. And we've got a fairly detailed information sheet again on the website on how to take a great photo, the sort of sizing of image that we need, and same with videos. So Caitlin's done an extraordinary amount of work, just saying. Would really like to do a shout out to Caitlin actually for the enormous amount of work that she's done already for the exhibitions for MAANZ and in setting up a lot of this stuff. So there is a lot of information there already. We've also done a little information sheet on writing a good artist statement. The next one is the 30-30 Vision exhibition, which will be at the beautiful Hue and Cry gallery in Geelong, running for 3 weeks from the 2nd to the 23rd of November. So that will actually start before the Symposium and then cross over with the International through the Symposium. So it's another wonderful opportunity to showcase mosaic art to the world, and you can submit up to 2 works. This is an open show with no theme, so get creative. We will unite the works and the exhibition by having the size strictly 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres, and please no frames or borders. And this is to give consistency in how the works are being hung. And on that note as well, the positioning of your D-rings is very important to, again, allow some uniformity for us when we're hanging. So again, it's on the information sheet where we would like those D-rings to go. Again, we've got some generous sponsors for prizes this year with a wide range of awards similar to previous years, I believe. And just finally, I'm going to finish with some works from our last 30/30 exhibition, which really does showcase a broad range of styles and materials. And they've also been beautifully photographed. So you can see with the cropping and the lighting that these mosaic works are really allowed to shine the way they've been photographed. And that will hopefully give you some inspiration as well. So I'll open it up to questions if there's any that have come through.
Thank you very much, Barb. A question has come through from Ruth. So the question is, do you have to be a registered participant of the symposium to enter the exhibition? This is a great question. No, you do not have to be a registered participant at the symposium. And for the 30/30 exhibition, you also do not need to be a member of MAANZ, although I know you are, Ruth.
So if there's no more questions, I'll hand over to Kristin Wohlers to talk about the next instalment. Thanks, Kristin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kristin. I've got the honor to introduce the exciting community project, which is Community Wild at Heart. And this is really led by Tamara Froud from England, and she's coming here for the symposium. And I think I might actually hand over to Tamara.
Thanks, Kristin. So I'm Tamara. Welcome to the MAANZ Community Wild at Heart project. And I'm here to tell you a little bit more about the what and the why of this project and how to take part. So this is an inclusive, collaborative mosaic project for all levels and abilities. So it's facilitated by myself and by Kristin, and the theme is Wild at Heart. And what that theme is about is it aims to reconnect with the wild part of us in our hearts and create something that is inspired by nature. So the idea behind that is to encourage you not only to participate and contribute to the Symposium 2024, but to rediscover the nature around you, to create a bit of a legacy that will live on beyond the symposium, but most of all, just to get everybody making. So even if you're not coming to the symposium, this is your chance to contribute and to be part of it. So the why this project? Well, when I was thinking about coming to Australia, and I'm really excited to do that, I was thinking about what it is that I value about discovering new places and whether they're close to home or abroad. And I realized that personally, I grew up with David Attenborough. I bought my first book, Life on Earth, at age 10. And with it, I entered into this lifelong obsession and love of the wonders of nature. So whether you're at home or you're traveling, it is about the people that you meet, of course, but it's also about those incredible sunsets, the brightness of the colors after rain, a clifftop walk, the birds tweeting on your windowsill, a mountain, a beach, a jungle. It's all those things that make me, and I hope probably you, say, wow. So I figured that this is a great opportunity for us to come together, and I encourage you to stop and look around you and have a mindful moment about where we are in this universe and to celebrate it. And together, I hope that this installation will create an unforgettable journey of discovery into the wonders of nature around us. So please add your creative voice to this installation. And now what about how to take part? Because I can hear you clamoring. So there is a cost of $30. And for what? Well, this gives you the chance to be part of a global mosaic initiative. It gives a voice to the wild bits in our hearts. It also gives you access to Google Docs, a Facebook page, the make-alongs and the recordings of the make-alongs to help you get going and get creative. And it also covers the coordination and the installation of the final piece. So what are the steps to participation? If I'm going too fast, by the way, all of this is on the website, so you don't have to take notes right now, or you can watch this recording through again. But let me take you through the steps of participation. Number 1, secure your place by signing up on the MAANZ website. Number 2, sign up for a make-along, and I'll tell you a bit more about them in a moment. Number 3, make your base, choose your inspiration, and gather your materials. Number 4, plan out your design and bring it all to a make-along session with me and Kristin. And this is a session online where you can share your ideas, see what other people are making and doing, and start making, or you can just watch for inspiration if you want to. Number 5, join the Facebook group, share your ideas and share your progress. Number 6, write a few lines about your inspiration. Finally, number 7, when you've finished, sandwich your mosaic between 2 sheets of strong cardboard or similar, tape it up and send it to the address given. The other option is, of course, that you can bring it with you if you're coming to the MAANZ Symposium. So a little bit about the design guidelines. And again, all of this information is on our Google Doc. Anything you want to know. You can also ask questions in the chat now if you have a burning question. So number 1, the size is 15 to 20 centimeters. And that is basically 20 centimeters is the size of a page of A4. The mosaic should have a border around it. The colors, I suggest you're inspired by nature. But please use dark grey or black grout and a thin set so that there is continuity between the pieces. And in terms of design, sometimes simple is better. Often something simple, well done is better than something that is really complex and poorly resolved. Think about contrast. You could do that with color, you could do it with material, you could do it with andamento, you could do it with tone. You could go abstract or representational. You could place your piece in the center of the roundel, or you could offset it. And materials wise, the only thing is that they must be suitable for outdoors. So there's some guidelines for you. I'm going to hand back to Kristin to tell you a little bit about the installation and why it all needs to be suitable for outdoors. Kristin.
Thank you, Tamara. So all these rondelles will be installed on panels and then on Stoby poles. We have a thing here in South Australia. They are the power poles, and they are 2 iron bars going up and concrete in the middle, and they were invented 100 years ago because Mr. Stoby was sick of power poles burning down and fires and falling over and so forth. In the meantime, so in the last, well, probably 40 years or so, these Stoby poles have become a real canvas for art. And in some areas in Adelaide specifically, some streets have one after the other. So you're driving past these canvases of public art, and they're beautiful. And they started off being painted, but now mosaics is the medium because that's also lasting so much longer, and the colors are much more vibrant. So these mosaics will be seen by hundreds, if not thousands of people every day. So I'm really excited. The other thing that this offers us is to also extend. So if we get loads and loads, and I hope heaps of people are actually taking part in this project, we can extend it. We could make a series of like 4 or 5 Stoby poles. And so then you're driving or walking past and you get this beautiful impression of all these nature-inspired mosaics. So I think it will be a very colorful and long-lasting artwork and memorial for the Mosaic Symposium this year.
I just want to talk a little bit about the construction and installation. So I hope you've been inspired to take part in this. But if you would like more information about developing community projects and the next steps of construction and installation, please join me at my workshop at the Symposium. We will be curating and putting together the roundels to create the final artwork. So just a brief overview of that workshop. It's facilitating community projects. It's about learning the skills and strategies to effectively engage with the wider community. And that is an incredibly rewarding process with a lasting creative outcome. I cannot recommend it enough. And you will learn things that you can take away and use to inspire and enable your own communities. So in the morning, we'll be looking at concept planning and development of a larger community project. And in the afternoon, we'll be putting these roundels together as a practical experience to create a final artwork. So let me talk about the make-alongs. The make-alongs are online making sessions that give you a chance to bring your ideas, to get inspiration from other people, to share things, to ask questions, and to make together in a relaxed, unpressured environment. You're not forced to make in any way. You can just join in and chat if you want to. The idea is that we put aside some time to make these roundels. So just briefly, in the sessions, we'll be talking about inspiration and ideas. We'll go through the materials. I will demo how to make your base if you're not sure about how to do that, although the instructions will be on the Google Doc. You can ask any questions that come to mind, and you can also show and tell things that you have already made as an inspiration for others. So I look forward to being involved and seeing what you all make. Thank you.
I have got something to add. You can come to the make-alongs, and we really encourage you to do that because it's also forming a kind of mosaic community. But you can also suggest this in your workshop and make some pieces with the friends that you go along every week. And your workshop, the person who runs your workshop can actually register several pieces. So you'll see on the MAANZ website how that works.
I guess just also an encouragement that the Facebook page is, the idea behind it is to create a little community around this. And I encourage you to share your ideas, your inspirations, and your progress as you go through this process.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tamara. That's cool. So I think I hand back to Caitlin, and let's hear about the workshop tour.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kristin, and thank you very much, Tamara. It's so lovely to see your face, Tamara, and we'll have you in Australia in person very soon. And the community project, it sounds fantastic. I know that I'll be encouraging all my students to enter, both young and old, and we look forward to that project coming together. So my name's Caitlin Hepworth. I am the MAANZ Education Officer, and I'm the Symposium Workshop Coordinator. And this time, for the very, very first time, we have been ambitious, brave or stupid, I'm not sure, to facilitate a workshop tour around Australia. So we are very lucky because we have 5 amazing tutors who are coming from around the world to join us on this tour, and they are visiting 5 states. Altogether, they're offering 16 workshops, visiting 9 different studios, and altogether this will offer 212 places to MAANZ members as well as later non-MAANZ members. So initially, the workshop tour bookings are open to MAANZ members. I think that's for about 3 weeks, and then it will be open to everyone. So this really enables a couple of things. Firstly, it enables the guest presenters to travel our beautiful country and to really get to know the Australian mosaic community. As well as that, it offers the opportunity for those who perhaps can't, for whatever reason, travel to the Symposium in Geelong. it enables them to access workshops within their own state or within a neighbouring state. It also enables people who perhaps missed out on a workshop opportunity at the symposium event to book into something. So I've been working with primarily the MAANZ branch reps to locate suitable studios within the branches. And we've been working with the guest presenters to come up with a timetable that suits both them and the content that suits the branches and those various audiences. So we have a tour that begins before the symposium event. So the tour actually starts at the end of October and it continues past the symposium event and it concludes in mid-December. So on the MAANZ website, you will see the timetable that's been put together, and you can see when you go into the website, it may be slightly unclear here, but each of the workshops have been organised by state: New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Victoria, and Western Australia. So I'm now going to run through these in order by state, and it'll give you a bit of an idea of what's available. So firstly, in New South Wales, we have 4 workshops in New South Wales, both before and after the symposium. First of all, we have Annabella Weber presenting her Andamento as language. However, this is an extension of what she is doing at the symposium. So this is a 3-day workshop or 21 hours in length. This is aimed at intermediate and above level students, and it is the same kind of content that Annabella is offering at the symposium in Geelong, but it is longer and an extended program of 21 hours. We also have Marae Swinnan, and she will be presenting her Painterly multi-mosaics. She's presenting this workshop at a number of places or branches throughout Australia. In New South Wales, she's going to northern New South Wales to the Byron Bay hinterland, and she'll be presenting this in a 3-day program. So again, an extended version of what is on offer at the symposium. At the symposium, she's doing 2 days, and in northern New South Wales, in the Byron Bay hinterland, she will be running a 3-day program hosted by Jane Dennison. Also in New South Wales, after the symposium, so now we're in December, we have Luca Barberini, and he will be presenting his mosaic performance and masterclass. It's going to be called An Evening with Luca Barberini. He's presenting this at 3 locations where participants can enjoy an aperitif and some nibblies and watch Luca work, listen to him talk about his process and narrate his journey through a mosaic work. And the final workshop in New South Wales is with Ariana Garlow. Now, Ariana, of course, is a partner of Luca Barberini. So these are happening concurrently in the same weekend, and this is in December. Again, this is another 3-day or 21-hour workshop, and this is an advanced level workshop in contemporary portraiture. So this is about facial fragments. This is not about making a whole portrait because that is far too complicated, but we will be making a small fragment of a face. Again, a 3-day workshop. So this is different. This is not on offer at the symposium event. After this, I'm going to talk through Queensland. So in Queensland, we have 3 workshops that are being facilitated by MAANZ here. So the first one is in far north Queensland, so up with Tani Bates, up in Cairns, and Annabella Weber will be visiting Cairns, taking in the Great Barrier Reef and presenting her Gradations in Mosaic workshop, which is a 1-day workshop that is the same structure and content as the symposium workshop in Geelong. Also in Queensland, we have Luca Barberini again presenting his mosaic performance and masterclass. This is in Brisbane, hosted by our MAANZ rep, Catherine Connerty. As well as that, in Brisbane, we have the Ravenna Direct Technique, which is a 2-day workshop, the same as the Geelong Symposium with Ariana Garlow. We also have another opportunity in Queensland, and this is not being facilitated by MAANZ itself, but is something that is operating with our support, and that is by Paul Perry in collaboration with Tamara Froud and the Community Lifestyle Support Disability Service in Bundaberg. So this is a very large project that Paul and Tamara are putting together, and it is taking place over the year, culminating in a weekend event outside Bundaberg. Now, this is being organised independently, but I did think it worthy of mentioning here because it does, of course, feature one of our other Queensland MAANZ reps, as well as Tamara Froud, one of our international presenters. After Queensland, we are going to now move to South Australia. We're down here, so obviously down there quite near Geelong, and I have put a label on where the states are because not everyone joining us tonight is from Australia. I know there are people from all over the world here, and we have 4 workshops in South Australia. The first one is the First Nations Reconciliation Mosaic with Ghana Elder Uncle Ivan Copley and Tamara Froud. Now, this is being hosted by Kristin Wohlers, and Tamara is going to work with Kristin and Uncle Ivan. Uncle Ivan is going to tell stories of country and help the group to come up with an appropriate design that tells stories and with cultural sensitivity. So this sounds like an amazing workshop, and huge thanks to Kristin Wohlers, the MAANZ Community Officer, for working with local community and bringing this opportunity to MAANZ members. Following this, we have Luca and Ariana also visiting South Australia, and they are being hosted by Deanna Koenig at Mosaics by Design in Blackwood, South Australia. Again, an evening with Luca Barberini, Mosaic Performance and Masterclass, which is a short one, just 2.5 hours. All of Luca's performances are just a 2.5-hour event, again, similar to the symposium. And following that, we also have the Ravenna Contemporary Technique. Okay, so the Contemporary Technique is a different workshop than what Ariana is offering at the symposium event, which is the Ravenna Direct Technique, which is an interpretation of fragments of Byzantine mosaics. In the Contemporary Technique workshop, participants will learn all kinds of other things that are incorporating lead ribbons, mixed media, self-leveling cement, some stones, some stained glass, all coming together in contemporary designs. And we also have, to wrap up the South Australian program, Murray Swinen. Murray will be visiting Kristin Wohlers, will be hosted by Kristin Wohlers to present again the Painterly Multi-Mosaics workshop. This time it will be a 2-day workshop, which is similar to the symposium event. Now, next up, we have Victoria. Okay, so we have 3 workshops in Victoria. Now, the first one is just after the symposium. This one's actually on the 20th of November, just after the symposium finishes, and Murray will be visiting Cheryl's workshop, Cheryl's studio, to present her mosaic jewelry and micro mosaic jewelry. So visiting Handmade Studio, hosted by Cheryl Handwoodlock, and will offer a beautiful workshop, very similar to the symposium event, where the participants are making a range of jewelry pieces in micro mosaic. This is a 1-day workshop. Murray will be kept busy. Then she will travel to Castlemaine to visit Helen Bodycomb's studio. And at Helen Bodycomb's studio, she'll be presenting a 3-day Painterly Multi-Mosaics. So this, again, is a 21-hour extended version of her Painterly Multi-Mosaics workshop. Now, we have the third workshop that we do have in Victoria, again, is slightly different. Now, this is open to all MAANZ members as well as community members, but we are also offering this workshop to those who work in communities. So, for example, perhaps people who facilitate community mosaic, perhaps with disability, perhaps in primary schools, perhaps in high schools. And Tamara is going to be hosted by Jackie McCook, and Tamara is going to teach participants how to organise, budget for, design, fabricate and install large-scale mosaics with a community group, such as a group of high school children, a group of primary school children, a larger community, a diverse community group. So this is a 2-day workshop that has been designed specifically for this event. Very exciting. And we will be, once the MAANZ member timeline has finished, we'll be promoting this to schools all through the area. And finally, we have Western Australia. So Western Australia asked specifically for Annabella to come and visit, and Annabella has happily agreed, and she's travelling over to Western Australia to present 2 workshops. The first one is her Gradations in Mosaic workshop, which is a 1-day event. Again, very similar to what she's presenting at the Symposium, as well as what she's presenting in Far North Queensland in Cairns. And she'll be hosted by the Western Australian MAANZ rep, Margaret Waterton. After this, she will be offering a 2-day workshop titled Nature as Muse. Now, this is a brand new workshop put together specifically for this event. So this has not been offered before. So in Nature as Muse, the participants are going to be drawing inspiration from photographs of nature, some micro, very close up, some large zoomed out images, perhaps a view of the Earth from space, and using the inquiry on those images to perhaps verge on abstraction. So it's a very exciting workshop. It's quite a contemporary approach, and this is a 2-day event that is going to be on offer in Western Australia. Okay, so that is the program of workshops. So 16 workshops, 9 studios, 5 states, 5 presenters, 212 places. I believe the bookings are now open for this. And what we're going to be doing tonight is Mr. David Lacey, our amazing membership coordinator, and who's been working very hard with Marion Shapiro on getting all the website information and Humanitics ready for us, is going to start to talk us through, to show us how we navigate the website, where we find everything. But before I do that, I just wanted to say a big thank you to the team, particularly to Marion. And Marion, you know, so much work has been going in behind the scenes on getting this ready, and also to David with all your work on Humanitics and the website, but not just them, the whole Symposium team. Thank you to Helen, thank you to Barb, thank you to Kristin, thanks to Tamara for coming along today. Also, thank you to our hosts. So the hosts we've contacted through the MAANZ branches, and we have been working hard on trying to work out what we offer, when we offer it. So a lot of work has gone into that on the back end by the hosting venues, as well as the international tutors. So I'm hoping that the community, the MAANZ Mosaic community, embrace the workshop tour. If this works, this is something that we can look to model again in the future. We'll evaluate, obviously, maybe make a few improvements, make a few changes, but I really hope you embrace it. I hope it's enjoyable for everybody, and I hope that it does get our presenters out into the Australian community. So that's it from me. I have one question that's come through. The question is Tamara's Victorian workshop different from her Symposium workshops? Yes, it is. It's designed for those who are perhaps working in schools or with children or with larger community groups, not so much facilitating something where a lot of people are contributing smaller parts, but quite different in its structure. And it's something that sounds really worthwhile to participate in. Now I'm going to pass to David, who's going to now start to talk through the website. David's at the beach, as you can see. How's the waves, David?
Not really big enough for surfing, unfortunately. Okay, I'm going to take you on a brief tour of the website and the various features. Let's start with the exhibitions. If you just click on the exhibitions link at the top, it'll take you through to the International exhibition and to the 3030 exhibition. There's a few places you can click to get further information. Click here for the entry information that Barb talked about. There's all the information about what is required for your exhibit. And to register, you just click the register button. Notice that this is for MAANZ members only, but you do not have to be logged into the website to click this button. 3030 is open to everybody. Again, there's a link that takes you through to the information sheet, and again the register button that takes you through to the actual registration form. Also, we have a few guidelines, photo tips, how to take a good photo, what's required for an artist statement, and video guidelines. So these are all, if you click that, you'll get to a document that you can read and or download for reading later. So that's how you enter into the exhibitions. Common Unity, Wild at Heart, is a selection of some of the roundels that have been made previously. There is lots of information here about the make-alongs, and you can scroll down to register your participation. But more importantly, there is this document. Please click here to view a document. This is the Google Doc, which Tamara spoke about, which will give you lots of information about it. You fill in the form, including how you want to do how you want to get your roundel to the event, either posting it or going along or taking it to the symposium. You notice here that you can have a number of different entries. That's presumably so that those people who are entering for a class or for a school or something can enter a number of different entries. When you submit, that takes you through to a PayPal option, and that will confirm your registration. Scrolling up, we can get to either clicking the symposium, or any of the symposium pages will have on the sidebar the workshop tour. And again, I stress that to go to the workshop tour, you do not have to log into the website to do this. You can do it without being logged in. You can see here that I am not logged in at the moment. This graphic shows you, as Caitlin has explained, where all the workshops are being held. Some of you may have noticed that the colors represent the people. So Murray is purple, Luca is yellow, Annabella is green, Tamara is blue. And you can get a larger version of this by clicking here, which will take you to a PDF that you can print out and use for working out which ones you want to see. You should notice that each of them have got a symposium line which indicates if it's before or after the symposium, where the symposium fits into the timetable. So this is in alphabetic order by state and by time order within state. You notice that each of these has a code, and that code uniquely identifies the workshop. So going back to the MAANZ workshop page, each one of the workshops is described here, including when it is, where it is, maximum number of students, and the level, as well as the cost, including materials. Make a note of the code, because that is what you can use to easily find it on the Humanitics website. To go to the Humanitics website, our ticketing system, click the register button, and that takes you in. And there is a short description, but by now you should be familiar with what it's all about. When you go to get tickets, you can go straight to the state that you're interested in. South Australia workshops take you to South Australia. Again, there you can use the code to uniquely identify, and these are in time chronological order within state. You notice that the dates are part of the description. So if you click that, you can see it a little clearer. The number of tickets left is shown just underneath the price. There you can see that. When you purchase one or more of these workshops, you will get a response from Humanitics, which indicates what you've bought. You should keep that as sort of personal proof of what you've done. And if you don't get it appearing up in your main inbox, just be sure to check your junk mail, because sometimes these things, arbitrary decisions are made on various email clients as to how they deal with unexpected things coming in. That is all I have to say, really, about how you navigate. I just want to reiterate, you don't need to log into the website to do any of this.
Thank you, David. And working backwards to Caitlin, to Tamara and Kristin, and to Barb. What an amazing team. I just want to say, as coordinator, it's incredibly exciting actually to be at this point where we feel very poised now, looking at this incredibly rich smorgasbord. I just want to echo Caitlin's sentiments in thanking this amazing team of people, some of whom you can see tonight and some of whom you can't because they're not on screen, but they're working really, really hard to help put all this together. And I'd just like to particularly thank our Treasurer, Helen Hughes, and Secretary Sue Binzer, who are working very hard in the back blocks, Amanda Tatham on communications and marketing. And just to share with you that we're going to have some very exciting merch for the first time at the symposium. Andrea Kettling and Amanda Simbaluk are helping put this together. We're going to have some beautiful aprons and tool rolls, and there's some very exciting stuff. So thinking about time and materiality, I'm so excited about Tamara's project about common unity, wild at heart, and the way you've shared that with us tonight, Tamara and Kristin. It's very exciting. I think the Stobie poles in South Australia are going to absolutely smash Nick Chan's Garden of Chandigarh and Jim Bakor's Pothole Mosaics. I think we're going to have to think of another really cool name for what's going to happen over there. So I think at this stage, we haven't made any further plans for any more online events, but that doesn't mean they won't be one, maybe a little closer to the time. So just stay tuned, everybody. And I guess now it's just left to me to say, let's wrap up. And now the opportunity is open for you to go online and book to your heart's delight.
I'd just like to reiterate what Helen said, which is thank you to everybody. Thank you to the whole team, because, you know, it really does take really quite a big village to put something like this together, and everybody has been working extremely hard. But thank you to, you know, all of MAANZ for coming on board with this, and for your so far very enthusiastic participation in registering for workshops, for the symposium, and for all the events. And I'm looking forward to see, you know, for those of you who are coming to Geelong, I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody in Geelong.
You're here. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much. Good night.